For most of human history, night was not peaceful. It was dangerous, cold, and absolute. When the sun disappeared, human life slowed down or stopped entirely. Darkness dictated when people worked, traveled, gathered, and rested. Once night fell, visibility vanished, and with it safety and productivity. Entire societies were shaped by the rising and setting of the sun. Darkness was not a setting, it was a limitation. For thousands of years, humans relied on fire for light. Torches burned animal fat or resin. Oil lamps used olive oil, whale oil, or other scarce fuels. Candles offered a steadier flame, but they were fragile, expensive, and required constant care. Light was never taken for granted. Every source of light demanded preparation. Flames flickered, smoke filled homes, accidental fires were common, and even at its best, artificial light was weak. Rooms remained dim, streets were barely illuminated, traveling after sunset was dangerous, entire cities shut down at night. For centuries, this reality barely changed. Civilizations advanced in art, science, and politics, yet they all lived under the same constraint. When darkness arrived, life slowed or stopped. Then science began to challenge that boundary. In the 18th century, experiments with electricity revealed something revolutionary. Scientists discovered that electrical energy could create light without combustion. Early demonstrations used electric arc lamps, producing intense flashes of light when electricity jumped between conductors. These arc lamps were blindingly bright. They produced harsh, uncontrolled light and enormous heat. They were dangerous and impractical for homes, but they proved something critical. Light did not need fire. That single realization changed the future. If light could be created electrically, then darkness was no longer inevitable. The challenge became clear: how to create a light source that was steady, safe, affordable, and usable indoors. Throughout the 19th century, inventors across Europe and North America pursued the same goal. Many came close, most failed. The greatest obstacle was durability. Early electric lamps used metal filaments that burned out almost instantly. Oxygen caused filaments to ignite. Glass bulbs cracked. Some prototypes lasted seconds, others lasted minutes. Progress was slow, costly, and frustrating. Then, in the late 1800s, the incandescent light bulb emerged. By enclosing a thin filament inside a glass bulb and removing oxygen, inventors discovered that electricity could heat the filament until it glowed without burning up. This was the breakthrough: light without flame, brightness without smoke, control without constant danger. The incandescent bulb transformed electric light from an experiment into a practical technology. For the first time in history, light could be turned on instantly, indoors, at any time of day or night. The introduction of electric light also changed who controlled darkness. Before the light bulb, illumination was decentralized. Every household managed its own light using candles, oil, or gas. Darkness belonged to nature, and light was a private effort. Electric lighting shifted that balance. Power plants, grids, and infrastructure became necessary. Light now depended on centralized systems. Cities invested heavily in electrification, and governments began to regulate access to power. Illumination became a public service. Street lighting reduced crime. Well-lit districts attracted businesses. Neighborhoods without electricity fell behind. Access to light quietly became a marker of social and economic progress. This transformation reached far beyond convenience. Factories used electric light to reorganize labor. Work no longer followed daylight, but schedules. Shift work became normal. Productivity increased, but so did exhaustion. Schools extended hours. Reading and studying after dark became common. Literacy rates rose as evenings became usable. Light didn't just change when people worked, it changed how societies were structured. The boundary between day and night, once defined by nature, was replaced by human decision-making. Darkness became something to manage, reduce, or eliminate entirely. This was a profound shift. For the first time, humans were not merely adapting to the natural world, they were actively reshaping it. And once that boundary was crossed, there was no turning back. The impact of electric lighting was enormous. Homes grew brighter, streets became safer, public spaces felt more welcoming, factories no longer depended on daylight, cities extended their activity deep into the night. Time itself began to change. Workdays grew longer, productivity increased, Education, entertainment, and social life expanded beyond sunset. The light bulb didn't just illuminate rooms, it reshaped daily life. But early incandescent bulbs were inefficient. Most of the energy they consumed turned into heat rather than light. Bulbs burned out quickly. Electricity was still expensive. As lighting spread, so did the demand for better solutions. In the early 20th century, new lighting technologies appeared. Gas discharge lamps and fluorescent lights used electricity to excite gases, producing light far more efficiently than heated filaments. Fluorescent lighting transformed large spaces. Offices, schools, hospitals, and factories could now be illuminated evenly and cheaply. Maintenance costs dropped, energy efficiency improved, light became standardized, bright, reliable, constant. However, fluorescent light had drawbacks. It was often harsh and cold. Many people disliked its color and atmosphere. While industries embraced efficiency, homes largely remained loyal to incandescent bulbs for warmth and comfort. For decades, lighting existed in two worlds: comfort versus efficiency, warmth versus cost. Then, another quiet revolution began. Advances in semiconductor technology led to the development of the light-emitting diode, LED. Early LED devices were weak and limited to indicator lights on electronic devices. They were useful, but not transformative. That changed as materials science improved. LED devices became brighter, more efficient, and cheaper to produce. Over time, they became powerful enough to replace traditional bulbs. And when they did, the rules of lighting changed completely. LED devices used a fraction of the energy. They produced almost no heat. They lasted tens of thousands of hours. They could be shaped, colored, dimmed, and controlled digitally. Lighting was no longer just functional. It became flexible. Designers began to treat light as a creative element. Homes adopted ambient lighting. Cities replaced streetlights with energy-efficient systems. Entire buildings were redesigned around modern illumination. But the evolution did not stop there. Lighting became intelligent. Modern lighting systems respond to movement, time of day, and human behavior. Sensors detect presence. Brightness adjusts automatically. Color temperature shifts to match natural daylight cycles. Light adapted to humans, not the other way around. The spread of artificial light did more than extend the day. It reshaped human behavior in subtle but profound ways. Before electric lighting, sleep followed the sun. Most people went to bed shortly after darkness fell and woke with daylight. Artificial light slowly disrupted that rhythm. Evenings grew longer. Sleep patterns shifted. Cities developed a new tempo. Factories introduced night shifts. Newspapers printed late editions. Entertainment flourished after dark. Cafes, theaters, and public gatherings expanded into the night. Light did not just enable activity, it redefined normality. At the same time, lighting became a symbol of progress. Cities competed to illuminate streets and landmarks. Brightness became associated with safety, power, and modernity. Dark cities felt outdated. Bright cities felt advanced. Lighting also transformed architecture. Buildings no longer relied solely on natural light. Interiors grew deeper. Windows became design elements rather than necessities. Urban landscapes changed as artificial light replaced sunlight as the primary source of illumination. But this transformation had consequences. Light pollution began to obscure the night sky. Stars that had guided humans for millennia disappeared from view in growing cities. The boundary between day and night blurred. For the first time in history, darkness became optional and sometimes rare. Today, researchers study how artificial light affects sleep, health, and ecosystems. The same invention that freed humanity from darkness also introduced new challenges. This is the paradox of progress. Every breakthrough solves one problem and creates another. Modern lighting systems now aim to restore balance. Smart lights dim at night. Warmer tones reduce disruption. Cities experiment with lighting that protects wildlife while maintaining safety. Lighting is no longer just hardware, it is software. Smart systems integrate with homes, cities, and power grids. Artificial intelligence analyzes usage patterns, weather, traffic, and human presence. Light responds not only to people, but to data. The bulb itself has become secondary. What matters is control, from fire to filament to gas to semiconductors, the evolution of the light bulb is not really a story about technology. It is a story about time. For thousands of years, darkness controlled humanity. When night arrived, life slowed or stopped. The moment humans learned to control light, that changed forever. Night stopped being an ending. It became simply another part of the day. And that is the true legacy of the light bulb. If you enjoy stories about how simple inventions reshape the world we live in, subscribe for more evolution of things. Because the most ordinary objects often hide the most extraordinary histories.